Good morning, everyone. My name is, again, Doron Hemo, in Hebrew you say it, and I'm going to take the next 15 minutes to speak about global food challenges and where Israel positions itself in this world, and how we help to contribute to minimize those challenges, and basically why Israel. Okay, so let's start. We have a lot to talk about. Good, not this one. First slide. Thank you. So in 2020, a company called Yo have invented something that looks like an egg, tastes like an egg, feels like an egg, but actually it's not an egg. It's a based plant product. And they are already selling it in restaurants in Israel in a chain called Benedict, of course famous for its Benedict egg. And that was established only 2 years ago. They have intent to go into Israel and to expand their Israeli market, and to go also to Europe, to the UK. First, I think innovation, a product comes from Israel. Second thing I would like to talk about is artificial honey. So artificial honey is in these days is being developed in Israel. It has the same texture, very sweet, the same taste. It's a public company, by the way, and they're doing quite well. And what they do, they take the enzymatic process of the bee and with a natural nectar from the flowers, and they make this process and basically create artificial honey. And hopefully we will be able all to try to taste this honey soon without utilizing the bees. Okay. Let's talk about global challenges. Okay, so global challenges. In 2050, we expect to have 2 more billion people in the world. And that means that we'll have to feed 2 more billion people. And we all know the numbers. We all know that there's the food safety lacking today. 800 million people lacking today food safety. They say that every day 25,000 people die from hunger. And we hear in the news, the UN speaks about that we might go to the next biggest food crisis since the Second World War. And this, I think, is something that we're all facing, and we need to ask ourselves, how can we make it better? Another global challenge, which I find, and it's not spoken enough if you're asking me, it's a centralized market. There are 4 big seed companies ruling the majority of the seed market. Same the ABC, known companies, the food cooperates, are doing the same. The fertilizers dominated by 6 big companies. So basically you can ask me, Doron, what's the problem with, okay, we have some monopolies, maybe the competition is not the best, prices could be a bit high, but what's the problem about that? And I'll tell you what's the problem. The problem is 100 years ago, they were growing only in China 1,000 types of rice. 1,000 types. Today we grow, the whole humankind, only 20 types of rice. Now imagine that something wrong happens because of drought, because of weather, because of diseases, then we're severely damaged. And this is what we need to focus on, if you're asking me, more diverse farming than intensive farming. The second or the third one we can speak of is the Russian invasion to Ukraine. If you're asking my opinion, this has a short-term effect, and I will explain why. Of course, I cannot predict how long this war, and we all hope that it will be finished as soon as possible. But basically, we all know that the prices of wheat went up, like 60%, and it bounced back a bit. But generally speaking, there is no shortage of wheat at the moment in the world. There is a problem to take it out from Russia and out from Ukraine, since they are in charge of 15% of the export from those countries to the rest of the world, but the wheat is there. So if we will, or they will be able to export it outside, so actually there is no shortage of wheat. Yes, the commodity stock exchange is going up, but this is because of traders. They expect to have shortage of wheat, and therefore the prices goes up. But actually, if you're asking me, this invasion did something good to the world, because look at India. So India, for example, they forbidden now exporting wheat out of the country. So the first time they're really taking care of their own people, and that means that there might be less hunger in India. Same, by the way, Ethiopia. They don't let anymore to export. They use the grain teff, it's called. It's forbidden to export these grains anymore outside. And of course, I'm not talking about global supply chain. I'm not talking about prices of gasoline, which I see it as more as, again, short-term thing. But if we look at the big long-term thing, let's look at the climate change. And the climate change is a huge, huge impact just because of harsh droughts. Recently, 17 million new people entered to this starvation circle in Somalia, Kenya. Just recently happened. And let's see what other kinds of effect it has. So for the intensive farming, we can see all kinds of bad figures. I'm not going to go one by one, but we totally understand that 14% of the gas emission is thanks to intensive farming, thanks to, if you can say so. We are polluting our water, we're polluting our air. Of course, deforestation, of course, number one reason, and we talked about it before. So, think of alternative protein. I guess you all know the numbers, but still it's very shocking to see it. For each 9 calories we invest in a chicken, we get in return only 1. When it comes to pig, the numbers are even worse, of course, talking about cows. So the conversion rate is very low. And what do we need? We need alternative protein products. And there comes the place, why Israel? Or what's Israel to contribute to this thing? So before I talk why Israel or how Israel is contributing to these challenges, let me first tell you a bit about my country. I can talk like an hour only about one slide, but I'll do it very briefly. First of all, Israel has half of the amount of rain, let's say, in Munich, okay? And 60% of our territory is arid. It's the Negev, it's a desert. And still, because of this shortage, necessity is mother of all inventions. So we are able to, today, desalinate our water, to use drip irrigation systems, and of course to treat our wastewater. 90% of our waste, of our sewage, basically we consume it in fruits and vegetables later on because we know how to treat this water, and then we use it in our, again, in our farming and growing. And I think in this case, Israel is number one. So we have years of experience how to do that. Second thing is about our culture. Always my father urged me, you must study, you must learn, you must study, and it's not only me, it was everyone else. So this is very, like, I think I would even say Jewish thing. You need to learn, you need to study. And then we have this chutzpah stuff. The chutzpah is like, I will try, I'm not satisfied, I will be a bit brave and go on. And this is, we value the debate. We don't mind to debate with our boss. Actually, I ask my team to debate with me because I don't know everything by myself. And this is part of our culture. We're also not afraid to fail. And so we see a failure as something that we can learn we can learn from. And this is, I think, part of our culture that always push us forward. Then we have great connections between the academy and the industry. Still, Israel is a close and small place, population-wise and territorial-wise. That means that kind of everyone knows everyone, okay? And so the academy is very linked to the industry, which really helps to take these ideas and to basically realize them. And the thing is that there is a variety of openness because Israel is a place for immigrants, all right? So for 80 years, people came from Asia, from Europe, from Africa, and so have different kinds of flavors, different kind of people, and I think this is a very good beta site for food tech. Israeli ecosystem, so these are some numbers, and this is really astonishing. If you look at the numbers, so from 2020 to 2021, there was a jump of 60% in investments in alternative proteins. And the funny or the weird thing, I guess, for all of us, including me, Israel is second only to the US. So $600 million were invested in Israel, more than the entire European Union. In startups are doing alternative protein. And in total, in the world, 5 billion. If we look at the Israeli ecosystem, and this is nice, I know that I mean about the food tech one, so we can see everyone is involved. It's the financial institutions, it's the food producers, we have incubators that are doing only food tech. It's not only the kitchen, we have retailers, and of course a very strong VC scene in Israel that invest also in food tech, and this is how we got to this 600 million. And also on the left side, which is written Israel Innovation Authority, in this place, basically, it's a government. One word about the government. So what do? We find a startup. Of course, you need to submit the papers and everything. But then the government, with a specific cap, provides money to the company. And they tell them, I will provide you 50% of the money you need. And this, you can see it as a grant. If you will succeed, paid back, it has been a loan with a small interest. If you fail, that was a grant. And basically, in this way, we keep on encouraging companies and entrepreneurs to keep on and try, because we, the government, subsidize 50% of that risk. We're sharing that risk, and it works. And you know, how do we know it works? Because for each dollar the government puts, then later we see more investments coming 7 times more. And this is how we measure ourselves. We know we invest 1 million this year, and then we see the market keep on investing more and more, and this is how we know it works. I don't expect you to see this slide, but this is a map of different companies, seeds, in different levels, seeds, development, those who run pilot, in different alternative protein only, okay? You can see cultivated, fermentation, and plant-based. Why I'm putting it here? Because if you have the will, the urge, the need to collaborate with Israel, and you need, or you would like to distribute products, or you'd like to go for R&D mutual project, or you would like to invest in some of the companies, please feel free always to contact me in my office, and this is what we do it for free. We are, again, governmental representatives, and we can connect you with the Israeli food industry. So at my last 1.5 minutes, I want to take, again, some examples of Israeli companies so you can get the feel in touch. SUS, we do not eat the products of SUS. SUS has a different objective. Sorry. What is SUS doing? They take layers, male layers, and turn them to female layers. Exactly. So before the egg hatches, they know through acoustic vibrations, through temperature, and through adjusting the right humidity to impact this egg and to make it a female instead of a male. And this basically decreases dramatically the exterminations of male chicks. And I don't know if you know or not, but soon there will be a law that it will be forbidden to exterminate any more chicks in Germany, and those hatchers will have to shift to other countries, and SUS might be the solutions for them. Another interesting company is this one. We call it Future Meat. By the way, there are plenty other more companies like that. What they do, this is cultivated meat. So I guess we all know about Beyond Meat or Redefined Meat. It's an Israeli company based on plant-based. But in this case, what they do, this is cultivated meat, and you know it's relatively easy to create a cell, a cultivated cell. But once you need to make the muscle and you need to make the fat, this is a whole process you need to take care of. Like the human body, you need to give the oxygen, you need to give the food, and this Future Meat company already raised $40 million US, just recent round was just this year in 2022. 2 more last companies. Ufix is a company I met already in Anuga Tech before COVID. It's soy-free, it's lactose-free. They work with Baywa. They have already collaboration with them, which is going pretty nice. And the last, I think it would be a Remilk, which we'll soon hear from Eran Noach by himself. They just raised recently in round B another $120 million US. This is again lactose-free, cholesterol-free, and they know to make fermented milk, I think, in a very special way. So thank you very much. Last thing, we have a foodtech event in November 7th in Israel. So for those of you who are interested in listening to more about the Israeli foodtech, you are welcome to contact us or just visit the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One question I have to you, even though the time is running out, but one question is, food regulation in the EU seems to be outdated in comparison to the food regulation that you have in Israel. There are many German, European companies that have an affiliation in Tel Aviv. Is this linked to food regulation in EU so that they can work there better and make inventions? Do we have a problem in the EU, and are we exploiting your different regulation system?
Good. So, very good question. I'm not an expert for the food regulation in the EU, and being honest, I'll take you to a different kind of story. When Israel decided they want to export cannabis, they thought, okay, let's make our own GMP, let's make our own regulation, and the European will adopt it later on. Of course, it was a huge failure. So I think when it comes to standardization and regulation, it's actually the opposite. It's mainly Israel, look what's going on in the EU, and then we try to mimic because we believe you're doing better work than
So
us.
EU has a leading function, everybody adheres to it, and we will never have innovation. Okay.